Hi, it's Kirby Summers. Today is Saturday, January the 20th. And to be frank with you, I was not going to do any kind of update because the update that I'm going to be talking about very briefly is my new series on Leslie Wexner, which I've titled Deconstructing Wexner. I would like to, number one, thank those of you who tuned in to my preview that I uploaded to YouTube yesterday, and those of you who have subscribed to receive my, I suppose, my ongoing updates, my podcasts, and in particular, something like what I want to share with you today, which, as you can probably tell from my voice, is very troubling. So before I get started, I am going to ask you to like the podcast. And if you have not subscribed, please take a moment to do so right now. Before I get into deconstructing Wexner, I want to say that years ago, I was approached by a former member of the CIA. He had been indoctrinated into the intelligence community when he was a young child. He was trained to be, I'm just going to come out and say it, an assassin. So if you have seen the film, The Bourne Identity, it's basically a take on what I'm going to refer to as an MK Ultra assassin. That's pretty much what Jason Bourne and the Bourne series is about. There are a lot of films that are taken directly from the CIA's MK Ultra program, which is an umbrella that covered approximately 148 or so subprograms. They were real. It's not a conspiracy. Once it was discovered, and the way it was discovered is a CIA agent working in Virginia decided to pass along to a reporter a document just shy of 700 pages called the why am I blanking on it right now? The Okay, if I remember it, and I it's kind of like right there, it's like right there. I can almost see the words of what it was called. But anyway, he gave him this report, just shy of 700 pages. It listed all of the crimes committed by the CIA to people within the United States. And as most of you are aware, the CIA cannot do anything in the United States. They don't have a mandate for this. So that all of the things were definitely illegal. It is the reason we had the church committee hearings. It is the reason that the public knows about, let's say, MK Ultra and COINTELPRO, how they pushed against Martin Luther King, sending him fake letters, urging him to commit suicide, doing all kinds of, again, the word is illegal, all right? So that to get back to the person who contacted me, who I believe firmly, he showed me some things to convince me more than 100% that what he said was true. Among the things that he said, which I began tweeting about, 4.5 years ago, July of 2019 is when I began working on the Epstein case, sharing what information I knew, and then, of course, It grew because a lot of people came to me that, had additional information, including some of Epstein's victims, but also a lot of the people that knew Leslie Wexner, a lot of the people who knew other people. And my own abuser, knew Wexner and people involved in the Franklin child abuse case and every president since Kennedy, because his father, Meshulam Rickless, was friends with Kennedy's father. And I don't want this to get too long because I think what's going on is I am, for the first time, to be honest, the first time, I've written a lot. I've written many books. I can't even count the number of articles I've written. I've made a lot of podcasts. I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of research. But this series that I am introducing tomorrow on my Substack, please understand, it's on my Substack. It's not going to be on my Patreon. It is a written series. It is on Leslie Wexner. It's called Deconstructing Wexner. This underscores some of the information I discovered, underscores what I was told by the former CIA assassin turned whistleblower who said that he witnessed something that is only referred to in a Stanley Kubrick film. I'm not going to even name it. And I found additional information that was inside of Jeffrey Epstein's home that substantiates that this indeed happened. It's one thing to hear something, and to write about it in an objective fashion. It's another thing to find proof that the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell case is, you can hear me stumbling for words. It's a distraction, people. It's a distraction from a much more severe, heartbreaking, and possibly the most important story of our lifetime. This information gives credence to allegations of other people, even from other countries. And again, I can't mention certain names on this platform, but there are things that most of us have heard. We absorb it. We read the books that some survivors of a certain type of abuse, are, what they have witnessed. And because we're not directly in the room as something of this nature is happening, well, we tend not to absorb it too deeply into our psyche. That said, I'm jarred. It takes a lot to jar me because I've been through a lot. However, I believe that Deconstructing Wexner, which again drops tomorrow, those of you who are following me on Substack, definitely keep an eye on your inbox, because even though you've been reading my work for a good number of years, many of you, and I thank you for that, this series is going to be a little shocking. And I'm doing this to prepare you. If you want to know why the media continues to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, why we continue to see document drops, why the story hasn't necessarily, I'm going to use a bad word here, but I'm going to use why the story hasn't died. Because it's a smoke screen. Literally, it's covering much darker crimes, crimes that are unimaginable. Again, I'm shaken. You know, I have been up since the wee hours of the morning, kind of rereading and tweaking the article, part 1, that drops tomorrow morning. And I thought that since, I've written this and I rewrote it and I edited it and I've read it many times, that it wouldn't have this sort of effect on me, but it does. So just a heads up, if you are at all someone who's queasy about information, maybe you shouldn't open the email that you get from my Substack tomorrow. On the other hand, if you want to know what this is all about, then, open the email, read it, put it away, go to the park, do something that takes your mind off of things, and then look at it again once you have absorbed it, gotten your bearings, and we can resume, because there's a lot to be shared about Wexner's family, about his ancestors, and about certain things that no one has really talked about. If you haven't become a member of my Substack, perhaps if you really want to know what's going on, you should consider becoming one. I'm not telling you this because I need your money or because I want your money. I'm just telling you this because I don't know anyone else who's going to share this information with you. Again, if I didn't have another story on my Substack, actually 2 or 3 that substantiated what I found, again, inside of Epstein's home, then I wouldn't feel so weird. I just feel weird today. I am going to beg off because, I'm still trying to process this information myself. I do, however, want to thank Professor Hamamoto, who is really looking forward to reading this and who's like, you know what? Let the truth kind of like fall, because it's I suppose, gosh, and a lot of my other people have become my friends during the course of this work. And some of my other friends who follow me on Substack, they're like, oh wow, this is great. We're going to do a deep dive. Well, this is a lot different than a deep dive. We're going swimming with the sharks. We're going to see it up close and personal. All right, guys, you have a good weekend. Talk soon. Bye.